Hey guys, welcome back. This is Devlog number 11 and I'm pleased to say I've almost finished level 1, which means we're almost ready for the first cutscene and moving on to either level 2A or level 2B. What I envisioned with the employee lounge here is walking into Gold Saucer on Final Fantasy VII for the first time. I wanted this to be a kind of breakout area where the player could stop and enjoy some of the things the game has to offer, like interacting with the radio, interacting with vending machines and coffee machines, which will give you certain things, having a few different arcade games that you can play. So you can see that Moon Racer is now part of the level, and this is the tutorial series that I'm making, the off-road style game, so I can show you quickly. So effectively there will be AI cars added, there'll be a scoring system, there'll be a leaderboard, you'll get points for winning the race, you can pick up nitros, if I could pick up nitros, and you can use them to get speed boosts, and that is a work in progress, and there is a tutorial series on that I'm making on my YouTube channel. So if you want to know how I'm making it, or if you'd like to follow along, if you use Construct 3, then you can just follow that tutorial and you'll be making your own off-road game in no time. What I've mainly been focusing on this week is the dialogue tree that you will enter if you make the right sequence of choices in this area here. I'm not going to show you how that works, but I will skip to what that will look like. So if you make the right series of choices, you will end up getting the opportunity to deface one of the pieces of artwork in the employee lounge. And I've added in a pen with a drag and drop mechanic and the ability to draw. So it gives you the option to draw a mustache on this picture here, and you can effectively left click and you can draw whatever you want. You can also add some devil horns. You can pretty much deface this picture however you like, and then depending on the actions and the choices you make and how far you're willing to go down this little rabbit hole, you may end up here. And then the guard comes along and says, "What the hell are you doing?" And then you can effectively have a conversation with this guy. And the artwork here is not final. The little speech bubble thing above the head, I haven't finished. That's just placeholder at the moment, so I can kind of go back and forth to see who's talking. There are multiple different ways you can finish this conversation depending on how you'd like to talk to this guard, and some of them will be more favorable than others, and some of them will get you zapped and end your level and take you on to level 2A or 2B depending on the path that you take. And the way I've made that sequence work, if we look at the event sheet, I've done I've done a separate layout entirely for guard interaction 1, and I've done a separate event sheet, and this event sheet contains two global variables, one of which I haven't used yet but will be using as a boolean to determine whether or not we get tasered or not, and then that will be true or false, and then that true or false will depend on where the next level is, if that makes sense. And then all I've done is I've set up a start of layout event, which is just fade in, set up all the HUD elements, put the first line of text in, and then set a few boolean variables which will then control what button pushes do what. And then we've got this whole group here, so if I close it down, we've got this whole group for UI nav, which is basically what happens when you push W and S. It moves the UI button up and down, and again it sets its own instance variable on that button to either 0 or 1 or 2 based on where we are in the options. And then when we push enter, which is the guard responses, it will then trigger us 3 possible answers, again depending on the question. And if the question is 1, we get these answers. If the question is 2, we get those answers. And then down here in the choosing options, we've got what happens if we push E when we're on question 1. If option 1, if answer 1, we do this. If answer 2, we do this. And then we change the guard sprites and we change the dialogue icon depending on what's happening. And then I've just got in the array here, I've just got all the options that the guard can say in the array, which I then reference when we make the choices by pushing E. You can see the layout here in all its entirety. I've modified this room slightly down here. I wasn't quite happy with the way it looked before. I thought it looked a little bit cluttered, and I didn't like the way that the carpet just kind of went through into the next room. So I've put it back to tiled floor, and I've just made a carpeted area down here. And what I've done is I've dotted some crates around the area here. So if you've seen my Twitter recently, you'll have seen my crate dilemma. I did have a crate in there which looked a bit too much like a kind of fantasy RPG style crate, and some of the feedback was make it a little bit more futuristic. So I've done that. I've added this crate here, and I've set an open animation to the second one, an open frame. So it's got a 0 speed. If we click on the animation, it's 0 speed, it doesn't loop, it's just set to frame 0. When we trigger it and open it, it will set to frame 1, and we'll get something for that. And I've taken the design look here from the new Final Fantasy VII remake on PS4. I couldn't really think of anything. I wanted to kind of find a futuristic supply crate, hence the kind of gold banding around the side here. It doesn't look entirely like it. I used the Final Fantasy VII one as reference when I was drawing this one because I thought it looked a little bit more futuristic. But let me know what you think in the comments, if you think this looks good, or if you think it could be better, or drop me some links to some photos of other really cool futuristic kind of supply crates, and if they look better than mine, I'll use them as reference and maybe change the look of it again, or maybe we can add a couple of different ones in. These are also dotted around the level, so there's one here, there's another one up here. Prior to this devlog, you could literally walk this entire corridor here with this thing and there'd be no reason to do that. So I've added an open cabinet and a crate at the end there, so at least there is some incentive to go up there now. I've added a crate right at the beginning, so you can find your first one and kind of instantly know, okay, these are crates, these are good things, you know, as if you wouldn't already know that. I've changed the laser beams to an orange color because I felt that that fits the color scheme of the level a little bit better. I've removed these crates over here just to give you more of a free roam through this section. I need to finish this arcade machine. This is a tutorial in itself, so this might just be out of order. I might just set this to out of order until that tutorial's finished. I need to just put some things into these chests that you can find. I've got a secret screen, so if we go to secrets, these are going to be unlockable things. So you can see I've got a kind of green grayed out area here, so depending on what you do in the level, not just the first level, this will be the entirety of the game, you can unlock little trophies. I don't know if I like secrets. I think maybe trophies might be better. Tell me what you think in the comments if you've got an idea of what that might be. But effectively what this will be is the kind of little kind of trophies that you can unlock by doing certain things in the level, by getting certain scores or points, or taking certain routes. In terms of the pause menu itself, I need to do the bios for Cowboy and Priya. I think maybe depending on the character you're choosing, because this will be a game where you will be controlling both these characters depending on the level that you're in, I think I might grey out the one that you're not using. These health bars will be updated in real time, so if you take damage with Priya, you'll lose 1 heart and it will show in the pause menu. You'll be able to eat candy that you can collect from the vending machine to replenish your health. You can also drink coffee to replenish your health. If you click on them, you'll be able to, it'll take you to a bio page where you can read up about the kind of backstory of Priya and her character and her relationship with Cowboy. And then the journal is going to be very interesting. It's going to be a live document that literally displays the journey that you've chosen to take. So it won't be the whole story because there are multiple ways that you'll be able to finish the game, but it will basically create a log, a journal effectively of your story. So if you take a certain path, you can click on the journal and it will update you sequence and event by event. So for example, the first one will be Priya finds herself in the space station trying to break out the prisoner, and then if you get caught by the guards, the story will update and say Priya got caught and then this happened. If you successfully beat the level, the journal will update and say successfully completed the level, and then this is happening next. So it will be different every time you play the game, and you'll get a different story, and you'll be able to read through that if you feel you're getting a little bit lost with the storyline. And that's where we're at with level 1. I'm excited to see the conclusion of this. Once it's finished, I will be looking for people to test it out. So if you want to be part of the next test group, then leave a comment below and I'll be in touch and let you know how you can do that. I don't know how many levels it's going to have at the moment. That's going to be down to myself and Pete, who writes the story, but it will take about half an hour in total to play through. There will be auto saves at the end of each level that will be able to kind of save your progress. So if you don't want to do the whole thing in one sitting, you don't have to, but that will be coming in a future devlog. If you've made it this far, thanks for the support, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.